Rudy Giuliani was at a private dinner in Manhattan, and he made some curious comments about Obama during a speech he was giving. He said, quote, "Every modern president has had a grasp on American battles abroad, while Obama does not. I felt that from every American president, including ones I disagreed with, including Jimmy Carter." He continues, "I know this is a horrible thing to say." That's a funny line. "But I do not believe that the president loves America. He doesn't love you, and he doesn't love me. He wasn't brought up the way you were brought up, and I was brought up through love of this country." Okay, that is what I like to call intellectual bankruptcy. This is what happens when you have somebody who cannot point to specific policies that he dislikes and explain his counter policies. So what does he do instead? He acts like a toddler. "Yeah, well, I think that you hate America. You don't love me. You don't love that guy in the audience. You weren't raised like I was raised, and obviously the way I was raised was perfect and special, and my poopy doesn't stink. But you're an evil black person, maybe from Indonesia or something, and a Muslim, so obviously the way you were raised was not as good as me, raised by good Christian white parents." Come on, you all know that that's the underlying thing going on here. If you think that's not the case, you're ridiculous. But look, I mean, this is one of the arguments that frustrates me the most, because whenever somebody says something like that, it's like immediately, boom, I don't know why you're taken seriously. You should be out of the conversation. You're not you don't belong at the adults table. You know, it's like Thanksgiving dinner. There's the kids table in the corner with a bunch of 8-year-olds. Go sit there. What are you doing? This is your idea of a political disagreement? "He hates America. I think he doesn't like the country, which is why he ran for president and became president, and he saved General Motors, and he saved us from a depression, and he did a bunch of other stuff like that." What? Oh, that would prove the opposite of my point? Here's my message for Rudy Giuliani. Not that he'll understand this or care to even try to get it for a split second or consider something counter to what his dogmatic views are. But dissent is the highest form of patriotism. I'm not the first person to come up with that. There's been a trillion philosophers that have said that, and I'm borrowing it from them, but it's absolutely true. When you criticize your country, it's not because you hate it. It's because you're trying to improve it. You want to make it better. I mean, the way I like to describe it is this. Imagine you're a parent. You have a kid in high school, and let's say a 9th grader, and your kid all of a sudden has started snorting cocaine, shooting up heroin, getting tattoos on their asshole, dating a 46-year-old Hell's Angel, staying out until 5 o'clock in the morning every night, OD'd 3 times, had to take him to the hospital to save them, failing out of school miserably. They got an 11 on their midterms. 11. I just came up with that number. What do you do in that situation? Well, if you take Rudy Giuliani's version of love and patriotism, right, to make the comparison, it's you cannot criticize ever. Do not criticize, because the way to love your country and the way to love your kids is to they're perfect. They've never done anything wrong. Their shit doesn't stink, so don't ever disagree. Fall in line. But the way that a liberal or progressive would approach the situation is, again, dissent, highest form of patriotism. Criticism in that circumstance with your kid is the highest form of love. You're not going to watch your kid destroy himself or herself and just sit there. You're going to say, all right, we're going to figure this out. Whatever we have to do, we'll take you to a therapist, or we will sit down and talk with you, or we'll ground you if we have to ground you, and we'll take away privileges, or whatever it is. We're going to make sure that we try to get this thing back on track, because it's too crazy, it's too out there, and we need to do something. We need to intervene. We need to criticize. We need to fix. So that's when you bring it up in the context of a kid, everybody goes, "Of course. What do you mean? I mean, what are you going to do? Just continue to defend your kid acting that way and act like there's no problem here? But there is a problem. You got to fix the problem." By the same token, in the United States of America, every step of the way, the people who were criticizing and trying to fix shit were right. The people who said, "Hey, man, that Native American genocide was kind of fucked up," they were right. The people who said, "Hey, man, this whole slavery thing that we've been doing for a really long time, super fucked up," they were right. Hey, Jim Crow, hey, segregation, hey, Japanese internment, you name it. hey, the war in Iraq, an offensive war against a country that didn't attack us, had nothing to do with 9/11, didn't have WMDs. People were like, stop, that's kind of fucked up. They were right. Dissent is the highest form of patriotism. Dissent is the highest form of patriotism. In fact, it's not patriotic at all to just sit there and go, I'll fall in line and listen to my authoritarian leaders. And if anybody disagrees with me, then obviously they just hate the country. Again, you sound like a toddler if you make that argument.